everyone, today I'll be talking about what I think are the top 3 misconceptions about secular homeschoolers. Welcome back to Project Happy Home. I'm Tanya, an MD JD turned stay-at-home work-at-home mom who is homeschooling 3 incredibly loud, incredibly wonderful children ages 7, 4, and 2. My eldest has ADHD, and if you're interested in hearing more about homeschooling a child with ADHD and parenting in general, please subscribe. One of the first misconceptions I believe about secular homeschoolers is that they disdain or dislike religion and religious homeschoolers and think less of them or are scornful of them in some way. I think this is not in any way true. Most of the secular homeschoolers I know believe strongly in freedom of religion and respect people of many different faiths, including traditionally Christian homeschoolers. And so when you meet a secular homeschooler, don't automatically assume that they somehow think less of you or are disdainful of you or suspicious of you somehow. I think this is sort of a made-up feeling that has no real bearing in fact. Many secular homeschoolers, for one thing, are religious themselves and observe religious festivities and go to church or synagogue or mosque, but they don't actually bring religion into their educational materials. And so they call themselves secular homeschoolers. Others don't follow an organized religion or faith, but certainly have their own moral compass. The second misconception people may have about secular homeschoolers is that they do not teach moral values to their children. Whether or not they include moral education in their traditional homeschooling, I think most secular homeschoolers do present a moral compass to their children and do want their children to develop a sense of morality, a sense of goodness and good and right and wrong, of the right path in the sense of following the golden rule, treating others the way you would want to be treated. I think many secular homeschoolers do have spiritual education for their children. For example, we do. And it includes and pulls from many different faiths and many different religious and non-religious texts in an effort to present examples of goodness and generosity and grace to our children. Whether or not you are a member of an organized religion, I think it's most likely that you do have a sense of moral understanding. I think several secular homeschoolers or secular people have come from very religious backgrounds and have developed a very personal sense of morality, a very personal sense of spirituality in that journey away. And that deserves some credit, that deserves respect in the same way that an organized religion, an organized faith deserves respect. Whatever word we want to give it, a person's own moral compass, a person's own understanding of what it is to be good, of what it is to grow as a human being towards the light, deserves respect. And the third misconception, I think, would be that secular homeschoolers don't pull from any outside sources and are instead teaching their children off the cuff what they believe is right and wrong and good and bad. Whether you belong to an organized religion in your youth or not, throughout any one person's life, they have developed a sense of right and wrong, a sense of what they think is important, of what they think can be laid aside, of the threads that weave together to create a moral fabric to a person's soul. Some things that are non-negotiables for them. Some things that they believe in so strongly that they cannot help but impart it to their children in the same way that religious people do, which is by example. Children learn much more by example than by any book we read to them or by any show we let them watch or not watch or any sermon that they hear. What they learn from is the example of the adults around them. And most of the time, that's us, their parents. So if we are living our life in a good and giving way, then our children will learn from that and absorb our moral compass too. And as they grow, that will shift as they experience things apart from us and away from us. And that's something that we should probably learn to accept too. In our family in particular, I am a Unitarian Universalist now in my adulthood, which is a very inclusive faith. And my teachings towards my children, my spiritual teachings, reflect that. I pull from many different faiths and parables and stories and sermons from different faiths and present snippets of them to the children so that they can grow their own moral compass, so they get an understanding of right and wrong and our values as a family. I think a lot of the stories from different religions, whether or not you believe in their core faith principle, I would say, the parables themselves offer many moral values. And with or without the dogma behind them, they offer a lot to our children. In conclusion, if I had to wrap up these 3 major misconceptions, I would simply say that I think there is a division and a fear that lies between secular homeschoolers and religious homeschoolers. And it may be more of a theoretical fear in that people have friends on both sides, but still harbor some deeply rooted misconceptions about the other. I would say whether you're on the secular side or the religious side, approach each other with a sense of grace, that assume that both sides are trying to do the very best for their children, and that they can play together and grow together and learn from each other as well. I think the closer we can bring all people together, the closer we will all get to my idea of God. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope I haven't offended anyone. If I did, please know that it was not my intent at all. As always, I wish you the very best day, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much.